the further the fall type things, right? You know what I mean? And the Chiefs came crashing down yesterday, and it's the Bronco fan in me, but I'm here for the pettiness, right? Well, and if you're here with me, give us a shout, 303-713-1043.
Broncos country, everybody should be with you.
Okay.
I'm with you. I was happy to see the Kansas City Chiefs fall. Now, as a player, I wanted it to be a good game. I wanted it to be a situation where it comes down to the wire. I wanted the Philadelphia Eagles to win it, but I wanted it to be more entertaining. And that's just the football player in me. I wanted the refs to be out of it, which they were. And that's like, come on now,
Mostly.
Kyle. What, the first flag of the game when it was like
A.J. Brown and Trent McDuffie.
I will agree
That was a
on
bad
that.
call.
That was a bad call. I was like, okay,
but I get
we
it.
go.
You went to his head, but I'm with you. For the most part, it was decided on the field.
Yeah,
right?
And so I was kind of like disappointed overall in the game. The grand finale, Super Bowl, a three-peat on the line. And I just wanted it to be more of a better product out there.
Here's the problem. It was going to be the last football game you watch for 6 months.
Yes.
That's really what it's about, right? Or the last significant one. Then you've got to go through preseason, and you got to go through the whole thing. And, yeah, it's going to be a while before you get to see real football again. So you wanted to end on a high note. I understand that
Go
part
out with a
of
bang.
It. Yes, absolutely. I understand. But I don't care. It just didn't matter to me.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Broncos country should not care. At the end of the day, the Kansas City Chiefs got what they deserve. An ass whooping.
I mean, BTA. I mean, right to it. So I sat back and I watched the pettiness unfold. I watched the halftime show. That was petty, right? I mean,
so did you like it?
I thought he did better than I thought he would. I'm talking about Kendrick Lamar in the halftime show. I just don't think rap and hip hop translate well in a live setting that way. So I had low expectations of it as it was.
You're not the only one. I believe Drew Spivak behind the glass was another one that said, "Hey, my expectations were low." Correct me if I'm wrong, Drew. I don't want to speak for you, but you said your expectations were low, but it ended up being. You were happy with it.
I was pumped about it, yeah, because like going into it, I'm not a huge Kendrick Lamar guy. Like I know some of his music, I don't know a lot of it. I mean, out of last night's set list, I knew 4 songs out of it, but I came away impressed. I thought he did a fantastic job. I was entertained through the entire thing. Loved the pettiness of Not Like Us.
Yes,
I like how he teased it at the beginning too. Got a tease. He's like, let's take a slow song. I was like, all right. I loved it. I thought he was great. I thought Samuel Jackson was great. SZA was great. I loved the halftime show.
I loved it too. Now, was it the greatest halftime show of all time? No. But I felt like it was entertaining. And, all right, for a lot of people out there that really don't know much about Kendrick Lamar and the beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, there was more to what was going on during the performance. And if you understood what was going on, you're like, dang, this is crazy. Drake should be upset. And it comes down to Drake, the rapper, the singer. I'm like, what is Drake? An R&B / rapper?
An
Who
artist
knows?
formerly known as Drake after yesterday. I don't know, man. But see, I paid less attention to that because I just feel like they're two great artists, and I'd rather not see them go at each other in that way. And so I wasn't. I appreciate what he did, right, in terms of teasing it and then just saying, I'm just going to go ahead and do this, right, and not like us banging like it did in the Superdome. I thought that was great. But yeah, I don't know, the long-standing beef. I don't love that part of it as much. And I'm with you guys. It wasn't classic, right? But again, he did as well as he possibly could do. Now, it wasn't Prince, right? It wasn't Tom Petty. And for me, if I'm watching the halftime show, I want to see.
You want some excitement.
No, it wasn't that it wasn't exciting. It wasn't Bruno Mars. I want musicianship, right? I want guys that play an instrument. I want guys that play the piano. I want guys that can get up and sing, then sit down and play the piano. Like, I want to see an artist.
I think a lot of people, and I don't want to talk for everybody, but I think a lot of people wanted a performer, an artist that people could sing along with. That was like, okay, I know that song. Oh, I know that song. Oh, I know that song. Like, for me, example would be the Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, 50 Cent. You knew every verse that was coming out of their mouth and say, okay, I remember that song. That's something that you're not going to get with Kendrick Lamar because he's a new rapper. And let's face it, a lot of people don't listen to just rap.
Yeah, well, I think it's more that he's more cultish, right? Like, he's got a following, right? He's got a lane. Like, I don't like the new Kendrick Lamar stuff. I like Section 80, Good Kid, Mad City, and the album after that, and then I cut off after that. So anyway, I listen, the whole thing was entertaining, and I think different people found it entertaining for different reasons. I know you didn't love the actual football schematic standpoint, right? But, what was it, 6 sacks?
Yeah.
Like what part of the game, let's break that down a little bit. What part of the game was most surprising to you as you're evaluating the way the Chiefs defense played, the way the Eagles defense played, the way the Chiefs offense didn't play?
Yeah.
What was most surprising to you?
Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, the individual himself. It looked like he was seeing ghosts. It looked like he was out there and his body language, his demeanor was just different. It's like, I don't want to be out here. And he didn't trust his offensive line. Would you? I didn't trust his offensive line.
They weren't ghosts, brother. It was Sweat, Carter, it was Bond. There weren't ghosts. No, they were real people in the flesh, and they were after him.
Exactly. And so I was just disappointed in what Patrick Mahomes did. In certain situations, the interceptions. It's like, that's not you. The running around, getting sacked how he did. Like, that's not you. And that's where it's like, what's really going on? And, of course, the Eagles had a great defense. They have a great defensive front. Their defensive line are animals. They have some really, really good cornerbacks and safeties. Vic Fangio, shout out old Vic, a.k.a. Old Man Vic. The Godfather.
Yeah.
He had a great game plan. And, by the way, the Eagles didn't blitz Patrick Mahomes one time.
Could get home with their front.
Yes.
That reminds you a little bit of when Justin Tuck and Michael Strahan and all those guys got after Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. I was surprised by that, and you're right. He didn't trust it. He shouldn't have, right? And now he's got to improvise a whole lot. I don't know that I would say that some of those things were so out of character for Patrick Mahomes because we've watched him be a little bit careless with the football sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And this wasn't a great Patrick Mahomes year, by the way. He was 26-11 touchdown to interception ratio. So he didn't have a great statistical year. It's just that the defense was playing so great that they kept him in ball games. So I just think that I wasn't surprised to watch Patrick Mahomes make some Patrick Mahomes type mistakes. I was just surprised that they couldn't get anything going. And now when they had the turnover in the first half and Jaylen Hurts threw the interception, which essentially took some points off the board because they were in field goal range, I'm like, oh, man, that might be the window for the Chiefs to jump back in, right?
There's always that moment where it's like a turnaround moment. It's like,
for
okay,
the Chiefs.
Kansas City Chiefs, exactly.
That happens for them throughout the year, and we watched it unfold all year. And to see them take that in stride, flip the field again, and really extinguish what could have been a momentum-swinging turnover, I was like, oh, man, this is going to be the Eagles' day because they weathered the storm in that moment, right? Because that turnover 2 years ago was the turnover that put points on the board when Jaylen Hurts
100%.
fumbled and Bolton ran that thing back. And that's how you kind of evened up the odds there a little bit. So when I saw them weather that storm, I felt like the Chiefs were really in trouble at that point.
When the Kansas City Chiefs couldn't get anything going on the ground, and Kareem Hunt and Isaac Pacheco.
Yeah.
They couldn't get anything. They had 11 carries for 49 yards the whole entire game. That told you everything you needed to know about, one, the Philadelphia Eagles. Up front, they're dominant. They were dominating the line of scrimmage, and that's great. The linebackers were doing their part. They were filling holes. And what it says is you can't run the ball. You become one-dimensional. You don't have the receivers that you really want. Travis Kelce is old now. Travis Kelce is not the same Travis Kelce of 2 years ago. Let's face it, you get older, you're not getting younger. And Patrick Mahomes is flooded.
Yeah. Let's talk about Travis, though. Like, he looked like he aged 3 years throughout the course of the game. Like, it was just – I think this is the end of the road for him. At least it would be for me, right? Like, what more do you have to prove? You are the best tight end in NFL history. I don't know. We can argue that if you want, but I believe that is the case.
Yeah, if not, he's up there.
You've got the hardware. You played with one of the greatest QBs of all time. There's nothing else to prove, right? Like, right off into the sunset, you played on one of the greatest teams. I don't see the Chiefs, honestly, any different after that loss yesterday than what I saw them on Friday.
No, I agree with you. It's time for Travis Kelce to retire. If Travis Kelce retired tomorrow, I'd be like, I understand it. You had a great career. You deserve to retire and ride off into the sunset. But when you're dealing with football players, Kyle, and you know this, it's hard to give up the game, especially when you're Travis Kelce, especially when you've had the success that you have, especially that your quarterback is still playing and he's going to be playing for a long time. At a high level, and you want to be a part of that. And you could add more championships because you have the quarterback and you still have Andy Reid there. It's hard to give the game up when it's just given to you all the time.
Is it?
Oh, it is. Like, the thing about this, if you don't have any injuries and you're having success, why would you stop playing? You're getting all the money that you want. You're healthy. You're fun. You're having fun. You're playing a kid's game. That's when it's like, hey, I want to keep playing. Now, when you start to hurt, when you don't have the love of the game in you anymore, when you're starting to look and say, you know what, I just don't like it like I used to, that's when you retire. But if they're going to continue to let you play and you feel like you have more to give and you're with a elite quarterback that's going to get you back to the mountaintops at some point, you're going to keep playing. Now, I like, this is the thing, and I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
I believe that it's time for Travis Kelce to step down, and if he's okay with being a number 2 tight end, going in drafting or acquiring another tight end that can be number 1, I'm all good with Travis Kelce coming back and continue to play if that's what he wants to do.
I thought you were going to say elite girlfriend. I thought that's what I didn't know where you were going with that. I don't know. But I look at him, and listen, I can't count another man's money or judge what another man should be doing with his life. But if all those things are true, right, he's on top, right? Go out on top before, the injuries start to set in. I know he's had a few surgeries already a couple years ago in the playoffs. He had the back thing going on. Like, you're not going to escape this game unscathed, right? So if you can get out ahead of time, I think there's something to be said about that. Then also, you're Travis damn Kelce. Your brother is Jason Kelce. So guess what? It's not like you got to figure out what you're going to do. The minute you retire, guess what you're going to do? You're going to get behind one of these things.
The
right?
podcast.
You're going to and have a whole lot of fun doing it. And guess what? Nobody's chasing you, right? So, listen, again, I'm not supposed to judge what another man should be doing with his life, but he's got things set up pretty well. And again, I don't think any less of him after yesterday's game than I did before. So.
Well, I'll tell you this. Broncos country wants Travis Kelce to come back because if we get the same version of Travis Kelce, last night, we're going to be licking our chops. Yeah, exactly. It's like we're going to win the games because you have Travis Kelce that's just out there now. I mean, he doesn't block. He didn't block in the game yesterday, and he wasn't open. And when he was open, he dropped a couple passes.
Yeah.
And I know that there was one that was low with the throw of Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, man, make a play.
Make a play.
Make a play. All right, I got to ask you this, right? Because we all know the story, right? Undrafted, right? Made the team, like the underdog story, right?
Yeah.
When I look at what Jaylen Hurts did yesterday, 3 touchdowns, 293 total yards. Again, whether the early mistake that he made, came back. Yeah, and came back and just stayed composed. He was still too composed for me when the game was over.
But
I'm
that's
like,
Jaylen Hurts for you. Come on
loose.
now. You know that.
Go.
But that's Jaylen Hurts.
I know. I'm with you.
He's the same version of himself no matter what. Whether he's happy, he's sad.
Cut it loose.
He's excited. That's just who he is. And I agree. Like, cut it loose. Like, have fun. Like, you just won the championship. And he cracked a smile.
Yeah.
He cracked a smile.
I did see that.
But for him, I think it's his calmness that everybody enjoys and loves, the leadership of, like, no matter what, highs and lows, he stays the same. You know who used to be like that? That it didn't work out here in Denver for us? Joe Flacco. It used to irritate the heck out of me.
Really?
Oh, Joe Flacco, whether he threw an interception or he scored a touchdown, he never had a smile on his face. And he would just walk around like, it is what it is. And I know Joe was.
Home. Yeah,
it didn't matter. And it was like, dang, Joe, like, we need you to have some kind of
fire,
energy, right? You're the quarterback. Like, yell at us if we're messing up. And he just didn't have it. And maybe it's because he won the Super Bowl, and maybe it's because he didn't really want to be in Denver. Who knows?
Right.
But I wasn't a big fan of that. Now, Jaylen Hurts, maybe it's different because he's younger. He's able to showcase it with his talents. Joe was throwing interceptions left and right for us. So maybe, there's a big difference right there.
Everybody else is mad. Why aren't you upset? I need to see some emotion out of you. I always have this joke that, is a running deal that I want my son to grow up and be like Jaylen Hurts. Because I just think the adversity. Now, let's map this out a little bit, right? Goes to Alabama from the Houston area.
Yeah.
Has some success early on, gets to the national championship. Jake Fromm is doing his thing, and they decide that in the middle of a game, they're going to switch to Tua Tagovailoa. And guess what?
Get in there, Tua.
And Tua goes in and throws a touchdown to Devontae Smith, and they win the national championship. Jaylen Hurts is history as it pertains to the University of Alabama. Had to switch roles, go to Oklahoma. He's not highly touted coming out of college. He finds himself on a really good football team, takes them to the Super Bowl, loses the game.
And he plays well in that game.
He plays pretty well in that game, but he had a critical turnover in that one as well. 2 years later, finds himself in the Super Bowl, and now like all that stuff is in the rear view. Right, I'm happy for a guy like that. I think it's a great redemption story that's probably worthy of like a 30 for 30, 25 years from now.
I know he's going to get his 30 for 30, and you have to admire. This is where it's like the confidence was there with Hurts, and whether it was good times, bad times, he stays the same. And isn't it ironic too? It throws to Smith in the national championship for a touchdown, and Hurts gets the last laugh, throws a touchdown to Smith in the Super Bowl.
I didn't even connect those dots.
That's wild. That's wild.
Keep going.
Hey, I'm just saying, it's wild.
Yeah. No, I feel like you got your crystal ball out and you kind of telling people what's going to happen next in my life.
No, it's just like, hey, it's a good story. It's a good story to be like, man, I came from taking this team to a national championship with Alabama to being benched and being embarrassed, going to Oklahoma, making some noise, and then being on the Philadelphia Eagles. Nobody thought that Jaylen Hurts was going to be a great quarterback. And I know that, like, hey, we can have conversations. Is Jaylen Hurts even top 10?
Yeah.
But he's good enough to win a Super Bowl. And, yes, he has talent around him, but the quarterback position is always going to be the most important position on the football field in football, especially in the NFL.
You talk about somebody persevering, right? Pulling themselves up by their bootstraps, whatever you want to apply to it, right? There were times where they were saying, should the Eagles draft another quarterback? Can Jaylen Hurts get it done for him? Who goes first, Sirianni or Hurts? I mean, all these things were real conversations, and here he is, a Super Bowl champion. Hey, I want to get this from the text line because I think it's kind of relative to the conversation. Just from the 970 from Mike. Phil, what's the matter with you? The Chiefs are a rival. We want them to lose by 40. You didn't get any enjoyment out of watching the Chiefs get dismantled yesterday?
No,
Come on.
Look, I told you guys. I was enjoying the game. I was happy that the Chiefs lost.
No. See, here's the issue, right?
But as
the energy you wanted from Joe
Kyle,
Flacco is the energy I need from you right now. I enjoyed watching the game, and the Chiefs lost. No. I need some juice. The Chiefs got torn out the frame
You want to
yesterday.
know? Look, because me personally, Kyle.
You don't hate the Chiefs?
No. I want to be the one to do the ass whooping.
Okay.
I don't want somebody else to take on. I don't want the bully to get beat up by somebody else. I want to be the guy that says, all right, I'm tired of this.
Okay.
We're going to be the ones to do it.
Okay.
And then if we're the ones to do it, if the Denver Broncos put butt whooping on the Kansas City Chiefs, Kyle, then I'm going to be ecstatic. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be jumping up for joy.
You saw Week 18.
And I I was happy now.
That wasn't the Chiefs.
Exactly.
Okay.
There's context to that.
I get it.
There's context to that. But
I get it.
I'm happy that the Kansas City Chiefs lost. But I wanted a good game. The football player in me, the athlete. And you have to understand, Kyle, I still have friends on both sides of the ball still playing.
Yeah.
So I wanted a good game. I wanted it to be exciting. I wanted to be yelling at the TV.
Okay.
By third quarter, I was like, all right, let me go and help my wife cook dinner and do some laundry.
Yeah, get to
Kyle,
bed early.
I don't do the laundry.
You're domesticated now? You got domesticated throughout the course of
Hey.
That's how bad the Super Bowl was. Phil got domesticated in the middle of the Super Bowl. He started doing laundry and loading the dishwasher.
I started folding clothes.
This must have got really bad. This game was terrible. All right. What did you learn? Did you learn anything about either team, or was it just the Eagles' day?
The Eagles are a really dominant team. They're going to be like that next year. I don't know how it looks losing their offensive coordinator, but it's going to be interesting to see what it looks like for the Philadelphia Eagles next year. You got Saquon Barkley back. He had a phenomenal year, Kyle. And as a former running back, you love to see it. And for the Denver Broncos, this is your turn. This is your time. All right? This is your turn. If you can go in there and get a couple pieces. You were already not necessarily close, but you've always played the Kansas City Chiefs tough. Can you get over the hump this next year? It's 0-0 now. Everybody has the same record. Everybody has the same goal. The Denver Broncos can win the championship next year because games have not been played yet. Now it's all about putting the puzzle pieces together, getting a couple more pieces that can help this team out.
I'm going to clip that up.